Discover the shocking text that revealed my wife's divorce plans right after our house purchase. Mike stood in his new living room, the purchased furniture still arranged hastily like pieces in a game waiting to be played. Just days before, joy and optimism had filled this space, each corner alive with the promise of a future, his wife Lisa smiling, children laughing, threads of family woven tightly together. But amid the distant rumble of thunder, his heart dropped as he glanced at his phone, expecting to share a snapshot of their new life. Instead, there it was, Lisa's message, stark and cold, slashing through the emotional fabric of his dreams. "I'm planning to divorce you." A shudder coursed through his body, a visceral jolt of disbelief. This couldn't be real. He had spent his days sketching blueprints and designing the home they would nurture together, unaware he was constructing a facade masking their unraveling union. The storm outside intensified, prying open thoughts he wished to caption as easily as he shot his first picture of their new living room. Breathing felt uncertain, uneven, each inhale laden with betrayal. As silence enveloped him, memories assailed his mind. Weekend barbecues at their old apartment, bedtime stories that spilled into lingering kisses goodnight. Those moments now turned bittersweet. He hesitated to believe that laughter could dissipate so quickly into echoes of despair. Was this how love crumbled, tucked away within neglected dreams? With their 2 children sleeping upstairs, he wrestled with the harrowing thought that his architect's mind, ever so calculating, had missed the most consequential blueprint of all, their relationship. The heart-wrenching truth began to unearth itself. Was Lisa feeling smothered by his ambitions? Did she resent the sacrifices she made to nurture their family while his career soared? In his pursuit to build a legacy, had he, a man so driven by architectural lines, ignored the emotional blueprint of their marriage? It stung like a serrated edge slicing through the facade of control he'd lovingly crafted. With every recollection, doubt settled heavily in his chest as he grappled with a new reality. Was their seemingly flawless life built on foundations brittle enough to crumble at the first storm? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With the clock ticking relentlessly, Mike stood precariously at the crossroads of his existence, torn between aspirations that soared high in the sky and the desire to salvage the remains of his family. Should he continue to forge a successful career, or was it time to fight for the love and laughter that rang in the back of his mind? The growing complexity of his emotions swallowed him whole, threatening to erase every solid plan he had ever drawn up. As dawn crept in, the storm gradually passed, but the shadows of doubt lingered heavy in the newfound light filtering through the living room windows. Just when he thought he was ready to confront Lisa, a tangle of unfinished conversations swirled in his head. What had to be reconstructed? Could love withstand this level of betrayal, or had he already forfeited the very essence of their vows? As he gathered the courage to make a move, each heartbeat echoed with uncertainty, paving the way to the unknown. What sacrifices would he have to bear, and could they knit together the jagged edges of their lives before it unraveled completely? The air crackled with the tension of unspoken words, leaving Mike on the precipice of a truth he feared he might never be able to face. The sun broke through the lingering storm, spilling golden light into the living room. Mike felt that warmth on his face, but inside, he was still cold. His mind raced through possibilities as he paced the room, glancing at the half-unpacked boxes that loomed like specters of his former happiness. The home was meant to be a fresh start, a sanctuary for his family, but now it felt more like a prison adorned with painful memories. He needed clarity. The thought formed a flicker of resolve that pushed him outward, compelling him to grab the car keys and step outside. The drive was an automatic action, the streets blurring past while he wrestled with the weight of his choices. He had become so wrapped in his career that he had neglected the person who had stood beside him through every climb, every hurdle. Pulling into the coffee shop where he and Lisa had shared countless intimate conversations over steaming mugs, Mike fought against the swell of nostalgia. He willed himself to step inside, forcing the door open with a sense of purpose. As he crossed the threshold, the familiar aroma assaulted his senses. Coffee and pastries mingled with memories that echoed. Laughter and warmth now turned foreign. "Mike!" came a cheerful voice, breaking through his haze. Angela, his friend from work, offered a wave from her seat. She was an architect like him, but while he focused on brick and mortar, Angela often probed into the emotional context of design, an approach he disregarded until that moment. "Hey, Angela," he mumbled, the weight of his thoughts pulling at his words. "Everything all right?" "You look like you just lost a bidding war," she quipped, her smile fading to concern as she noticed the depth of his turmoil. "Not exactly," he replied, knowing he needed to articulate the tangled mess he was in. Over small talk and coffee refills, he confessed the turmoil, the divorce text, his overwhelming fear of losing everything he had built. Her brow furrowed, not merely in sympathy but with an intellectual curiosity, like a seasoned architect examining a fragile structure. "Do you think she feels invisible?" Angela asked, her voice calm yet probing. "All the plans you've made, the hours you've put into work. Lisa might have felt sidelined. Relationships need alignment and design, too." Her words pierced through the fog, igniting a flicker of understanding, dim yet steady. Mike recognized a vital truth, hidden like an important detail lost in a draft. He had focused so much on external success that he had failed to ensure the vitality of the bond with the person who mattered most. "Have you considered how to reconnect with her?" Angela's question hung between them, a bridge to a possibility Mike hadn't truly entertained. The thought sparked something deep within him. What did reconnecting mean? Was it merely apologizing, or was it about re-engaging? Re-exploring the map of their life and recalibrating its trajectory together? I don't know. How? His vulnerability bubbled up, evidence that he was beginning to understand the depth of the emotional chasm. Angela leaned in, her voice steady. "Start small. Choose intentionally. Show her you see her. Sometimes even the best designs need a little renovation." As he absorbed her insight, a wellspring of determination pushed his insecurities aside. He realized he needed to rebuild not just walls but the very foundations of his partnership. "I'll reach out," he vowed, a statement that felt stronger than any architectural blueprint he'd ever constructed. This moment marked a pivotal shift in his understanding of himself, his responsibilities, and his goals. Mike left the cafe with a new framework in mind, not just about homes or structural designs, but about love and commitment within the realm of human connection. The path before him had shifted, the horizon glowing with potential. As he approached his car, his phone buzzed. The message screen displayed Lisa's name, and his heart seized momentarily. Should he respond now, or wait until he had gathered his thoughts? The moment hung in the air, heavy with suspense. As he contemplated the crucial step ahead of him. Would this time be the spark of restoration, or would it lead to a final collapse? He took a deep breath, unsure of the ground he was standing on, but aware that the next decision could reshape everything. Mike's heart raced as he held the phone, the vibrations pulsing through him like a drumbeat of impending doom. The message lingered, both an invitation and a threat. He feared what he might say or, worse, what he might not say. The easy solution would be to ignore it, to put the phone aside and pretend this moment didn't exist. Yet, that felt wrong. Abandoning this communication would only reinforce the chasm that had grown between them. The echo of Angela's advice played in his mind. To reconnect, he had to engage, not retreat. With a deep breath, he opened the message. "Hey Mike, we need to talk. I've been thinking a lot. Would you be home later?" The words felt heavy, laden with ambiguity, but they also carried a glimmer of hope and opportunity for dialogue. Deep inside, he sensed the fragility of the moment. He could either choose to respond with vulnerability or let uncertainty fester in the silence. "I'll be home by 6. Can we talk then?" His thumbs flew over the screen, pressing send before second-guessing himself. This act felt monumental, a small but vital step in demonstrating his commitment to understanding her feelings. As he drove back home, each street sign felt like a guidepost steering him closer to confrontation. The physical landscape around him blurred, matching the tumult within. He was painfully aware that success in his architectural endeavors meant nothing if he couldn't apply the same focus to the most fragile structure of all, his marriage. Once inside the quiet space that was supposed to be their sanctuary, he felt the weight of the unopened boxes pressing in again. They were filled with remnants of shared memories and dreams, artifacts of a life in transition. He had to face these truths not only about their home but also about his role in their relationship. He made his way to the living room and sunk into the worn sofa, feeling its familiar contours wrap around him in a bittersweet comfort. The clock ticked down the minutes until 6, and as anxiety gripped him, he found himself questioning the very fabric of his identity. Who was he without this partnership? How was he supposed to fight for it when he had previously taken it for granted? Thought lined his mind like a blueprint gone awry. What if she had already made up her mind? What if he was too late to interject capacity for change, to demonstrate growth and commitment? Panic swirled as he envisioned an empty house echoing his regrets. At T6, the door creaked open and Lisa stepped inside, her silhouette framed against the porch light. Mike stood up, forcing a smile that felt more like a mask than a genuine expression. She looked tired, a shadow of the vibrant woman he once knew. "Hey," she said softly, her voice carrying an edge taut with expectation. "Hey," he echoed, the syllable hanging uncomfortably between them. They settled into silence for a moment that felt like an eternity. The air around them buzzed with unspoken truths, painful and raw. Mike felt the urge to fill that void, to somehow sculpt those words into shapes of reassurance. I want to talk about us," he ventured, each word a tiny step into vulnerability. Lisa shifted slightly, her eyes never leaving his. "I think we need to." There was a sincerity in her voice that sparked hope while deepening the tension of what their conversation might unveil. As he listened to her begin to share, Mike's mind raced, desperately trying to connect the dots of their discontent. What had he missed? Where had he erred? Her perspective was like an undiscovered room in an old building, unfamiliar and echoing yet vital to understanding the overall design. In that emotionally charged moment, he realized the magnitude of the challenge ahead. They were standing on unstable ground, peering into the depths that could either lead to restoration or obliteration. A sudden thought gripped him: what if the renovation he needed for their relationship required unveiling hidden truths about himself, too? His resolve solidified. He was not merely here to defend his past actions, he was prepared to confront his own shortcomings. As Lisa spoke, a growing awareness unfolded within him. The moment demanded more than words, it required genuine grappling with both their histories, their choices. "What if we could reshape this together?" he blurted out, feeling the risks of vulnerability weave through him. But before she could respond, an unfamiliar notification chimed, an incoming call from Angela. Mike's heart raced again, the intersection of his past and present colliding with consequences yet to be determined. Would engaging with his friend distract him from this critical moment, or could it offer insights that could aid his cause? With a glance at Lisa, who wore a mask of contemplation, the tension coiled tighter. Would he answer, or stay focused on the critical conversation unfolding right in front of him? His instincts screamed to pick up the phone, to see what Angela wanted, but logic argued otherwise. The air was thick with unexpressed emotions, and Lisa's gaze stirred a storm of uncertainty within him. Could he afford to be distracted now, when the foundation of their relationship hung in delicate balance? "Mike?" Lisa's voice broke through his preoccupation, cutting through the web of anxiety that enveloped him. It was gentle yet firm, urging him to anchor back into the moment. He set the phone down, its screen lighting up with Angela's name, a beckoning reminder of tasks left unresolved. In that split second, Mike understood something crucial about himself: engaging with Lisa demanded undivided attention. They needed to construct a space where both could speak freely, where fears and dreams could intermingle without interruptions. "Right, yes. Let us talk," he said, his voice steadier than he felt. It was time to begin unraveling the tightly wound thread of their lives, to expose the intertwining patterns of love and frustration that had brought them to this precipice. As they sat down together, Mike noticed the warmth in Lisa's eyes was mingled with a flicker of apprehension. The vulnerability he was beginning to grasp was mirrored in her expression. She was ready to peel back layers, but both of them stood on the cusp of a revelation they couldn't predict. "I've felt so distant from you, Mike. Sometimes it seems like we're more like roommates than partners." Lisa spoke softly, but each word struck him with a palpable weight. His stomach twisted. The truth cut deeper than he anticipated. He responded with the only honesty he could muster. "I know. I've let my work consume me. I thought if I built something great outside, it would somehow keep us solid inside." It felt strange to admit that his professional ambitions had overshadowed his personal commitments. This epiphany sparked a new resolve in him. They were both navigating uncharted territories where vulnerability was the compass guiding them. He placed his hand on hers, trying to bridge the gulf between them. "But you've been successful," Lisa countered, a hint of frustration creeping into her tone. "I appreciate your talent, but our home it feels empty. I want us to fill it with life again." Her words rattled him. He envisioned their house, the boxes stuffed in corners, the unpainted walls, and the unbroken silence echoing through rooms meant for laughter. "I've been scared, Lisa." The admission hung in the air, laced with a mix of shame and reluctant pride. "Scared of failing you if I diverted my focus. Scared of failing or scared of letting go?" Lisa questioned, her gaze piercing him with clarity. He hesitated. Wasn't he their truth in both fears? Two threads woven into the fabric of his identity, the architect forever gripping onto the old blueprints while the man yearned to draft new possibilities. The call from Angela clung to the back of his mind like a ghost, a reminder of the ties that still connected him to different parts of his life. "I don't want us to be strangers in our own lives," he murmured. "Then let us talk about everything, each struggle, each dream. Not just up here," she pointed at his head, "but down here," she placed her hand over her heart. He nodded, feeling the resolve solidifying beneath chains of uncertainty. "You deserve that. We deserve that." Mike could feel a shift in the air, a promising tension that vibrated with mutual willingness to rebuild. But just as he resolved to welcome deeper conversations, the phone chimed again, Angela's name flashing brightly across the screen once more. A reminder of another life, a critical choice looming. "Do you want to answer that?" Lisa asked, her tone unreadable. "No," Mike replied firmly, even as a pang of doubt flickered through him. The struggle would be to balance connections across the fissures of his life. He was already straddling two worlds, he needed to choose where he wanted to anchor himself first. With his heart pounding, he prepared to dive deeper into the revelations awaiting them, yet the nagging tension in the pit of his stomach pointed to conflict brewing just beneath the surface. "Let us lay everything on the table," he said, feeling a mix of dread and determination. The path ahead promised challenges, but clarity blazed ahead like a guiding light. Would he be ready for the truth that both he and Lisa needed to confront? The atmosphere in the room shifted palpably as Mike steeled himself to confront the truth lingering just beneath the surface. He could sense the weight of Lisa's gaze, her vulnerability both a reminder and challenge, pushing him toward the precipice of honesty. "What do you really want, Mike?" Lisa's voice was steady, yet laced with a tremble that suggested her own uncertainty. "What do you want from us?" He inhaled deeply, the air in his lungs igniting a sense of urgency. His life had become so compartmentalized, so dedicated to work at the cost of personal connection. No more evasiveness, no more hiding behind the guise of ambition. "I want us to be a team again," he said, the resolve in his voice striking a chord he hoped would resonate with her pain. "I miss that part of us, the laughter, the plans, the simple joy of just being together. I want to create that life with you again." Lisa's expression softened, the flicker of hope igniting in her eyes. "Then why does it feel like you're always building something without me? It's as if I'm just an afterthought." Her words pierced through the defensive shell he had constructed. Life had become a series of projects and deadlines, each one a diversion from the emotional fragility that screamed for attention. He had believed that pursuing his professional goals would fortify their future, but he now realized he had merely fortified his isolation. I thought if I achieved more getting that promotion, closing that big deal, everything else would fall into place, he confessed. I didn't realize how much I was neglecting our connection. The honesty in his voice broke through something inside both of them, a realization dawning that he might have been lost in his ambition but had nonetheless bypassed the most important part, their partnership. We've always been so strong together. We tackle challenges head-on. But I've been running in circles, thinking I could fix everything alone. His voice quivered with the weight of unacknowledged fears. Lisa leaned in, the distance visibly shrinking. Then let us face this together. The work, the difficulties, the dreams, everything. But it has to be real, Mike. No more half measures. What she offered was a lifeline, a chance to rebuild their foundation brick by brick. But still, the nagging specter of Angela lurked in the corner of his mind, an unresolved echo waiting for acknowledgement. Mike sensed he could not entirely move forward without addressing the loose ends of his dual existence. I need to be honest with you about Angela. You deserve that, he breathed, the admission weighing heavily on his chest. Lisa's expression morphed, concern giving way to something deeper, a potent mix of anger and resolve. You need to set those boundaries, Mike. It's not just about our relationship. If you keep allowing this to linger, it'll derail your progress on every front. Watching her take this stance ignited a fire within him. He didn't realize how much he had needed her support until this moment. It dawned on him that just like he had been hesitant to let go of his ambitions, he had also resisted relinquishing those fragments of his past. Okay, Mike said firmly. After we talk, I'll address it. Angela doesn't have a place in my life anymore. They sat in silence for a moment, the air vibrating with unspoken agreements. Renewed determination surged through Mike. He needed to craft a balanced life that embraced both his professional and personal aspirations, without abandoning either. Let us start fresh, Mike. No more secrets, no more distractions, Lisa urged, the sincerity in her eyes grounding him. I need you to show me you're really committed to building our future. As he nodded, resolve weaving its way into his heart, he glanced at the phone on the table, its screen still illuminated with Angela's name. Would his decision reverberate through their lives like the echo of a bell, ringing clear in the silence that had once surrounded them? Mike felt another pang of urgency at the thought. The reckoning wouldn't be easy, it would require confrontation, and potentially the loss of a connection that had once been significant. Let us lay it all out then, he said, choosing to seize the moment. It's time to confront every piece. But just as the words left his mouth, the phone chimed again, an unwelcome intrusion that sent a ripple of tension coursing through him. Ignoring it would take grit, facing it head-on would require courage. The line had been drawn in the sand, and Mike now stood at the precipice of transformation. Would the outcome bring them closer, or would the past drag him down into waters he'd thought he'd left behind? The chime of the phone reverberated through the tense silence, sounding almost like a taunt. Mike's instinct screamed for him to ignore it, to focus on Lisa's hopeful yet wary expression. Yet, the pull of the unresolved tether to Angela was palpable. He was acutely aware that avoiding this moment would only prolong the cycle of confusion that had held him captive for far too long. Do you want to get that? Lisa suggested, her voice steady but edged with anxiety. Mike shook his head slowly, feeling the weight of his decision crystallizing within him. No, he said firmly. I want to be here, with you. There lay the challenge. How to fortify their relationship while dismantling the ghost of Angela lingering at the fringes. He had lived in a state of compartmentalization for so long that now, as he faced potential fallout, every instinct cooked up a scenario of abandonment both from Lisa and from himself. Gritting his teeth, he picked up the phone and tapped the screen to reveal Angela's message. Just as he feared, it was an innocuous question about the presentation he had prepared for next week. His breath quickened. How could he possibly allow this to continue? It's work-related, he said, almost defensively, sensing that Lisa could read between the lines. Is it truly just work, or is there something more? Her question hung in the air, stark and challenging. The room felt constricted, the walls pressing in on him as he weighed his options. He could either remain in this limbo, endlessly entertaining the past and its haunting memories, or he could take decisive action, annihilate Angela's presence, and embrace the commitment he had made to Lisa. Yet, confronting Angela would mean hurtling back into a relationship that had spiraled into complexity. A part of him recoiled at the idea, fearing the potential fallout, the confrontation, the disappointment, and possibly the resentment from someone he had once considered close. "Look, I understand it's difficult," Lisa continued, her voice powerful yet gentle. "But if we want to be a team and plan our future, you need to clear the air thoroughly. You deserve that liberation just as much as I do." She was right. With every passing moment, he felt chained to choices he had made for comfort and companionship in tumultuous times. The realization struck him, avoidance had disguised itself as prudence. It was time to transcend that. "I have to call her. I can't keep pretending this is okay," Mike murmured, gathering the half-formed courage that fluttered within him. Lisa's expression relaxed, a glimmer of pride igniting in her eyes. "Good. Knowing you made the decision to confront her shows incredible strength." As he dialed Angela's number, the phone ringing with jarring clarity, Mike felt the ground shift. Each ring was a heartbeat, a countdown to confronting not merely her, but the part of himself that had held on too tightly. "Angela. We need to talk," he said as soon as the call connected, his voice steady, betraying none of the nervous energy crackling through him. "Mike. What is going on? You never pick up on the first ring." Her overly casual tone grated against the backdrop of his determination that he could hear the underlying confusion and amusement in her words, as if she didn't realize the depth of the rift he was preparing to create. "I've been thinking about us and about all of this," he said, feeling his heart thundering in his chest. "What do you mean?" Digging deep into the well of resolve, Mike's next words held the potential to sever his past completely. "It's time to move on. You can't be in my life any longer." As he spoke, a tightening sensation seemed to pull at his chest, an intense mixture of fear and anticipation. This was it, the moment he would finally account for his choices, confirming his commitment to Lisa, but before he could react to Angela's response, the world around him faded into silence, leaving him anchored in his truth, ready to embrace the consequences. It was the moment that could reforge his identity, and as he waited for Angela's reply, Mike realized that the path to redemption had just opened wide before him. Would the chains of the past shatter, or would they clink ominously with defeat? The silence stretched, thick and precarious, as Mike awaited Angela's reply. He could almost hear her processing his words, the weight of what he had just said, a resolute declaration meant to rip the fabric of their past apart. Inside, a swirling storm of emotions threatened to break free. Had he done the right thing? The doubt clawed at him, though he forced himself to remain grounded in the present moment, waiting. "Mike, you can't just cut me out like this," Angela's voice finally came through, dragging his thoughts back to the conversation. "We have a history, and you know how complicated things can be." Her words hit like the strike of a hammer against an anvil. He had anticipated resistance, but hearing it voiced only intensified his resolve. "I know we do, but that history is exactly why I need to do this. It's unfair to both of us to keep pretending that we could possibly go back to what it was. I need to focus on my future, on what's good for me now." Angela scoffed lightly, masking the discomfort he could sense bubbling beneath her defiance. "And that future is with Lisa, right? You think just because you've decided to jump ship, everything will be fine?" Her jab was sharp, eliciting a mix of anger and guilt. The tightness in his chest loosened slightly, part of him grateful that she was finally expressing what she had long kept bottled up. Without hesitation, he met her challenge. "Yeah, it is. I'm moving forward. I'm committed to her, and if you truly care about me as you claim, you'll respect my decision." The line fell silent again. In that straining stillness, Mike's heart raced. He realized that all those years spent tiptoeing around the complexities of their relationship had left him unprepared for the rawness of a firm boundary. He waited for Angela to regroup, his mind racing with what lay ahead. Would his commitment to Lisa truly withstand the fallout? Was he taking a leap for love or into the unknown? Fine. If that is how you feel, I won't try to change your mind, Angela finally replied, her tone a mix of resignation and indignation. But don't think it will be easy for you or her. I won't pretend to be an easy goodbye. As she spoke, Mike's thoughts drifted to Lisa. Her trust in him hung in the balance, and he felt the weight of that responsibility press down. I don't want this to be a war, he said in a low voice. I just want you to understand that this is my choice. Understood, Angela said curtly. But you should know, I'm not out of the picture just yet. You'll see. The call ended abruptly, leaving Mike with a tornado of emotions whirling within him. He had severed a connection but had only unraveled another layer of the complicated past. What had he truly done? Only time would reveal the consequences of his actions, and for the first time, he felt an eerie sense of freedom mixed with the heavy burden of looming regret. Overlapping thoughts coalesced into a singular urgency. Could he still fight for his happiness, for a future where Lisa didn't exist in the shadow of Angela's memory? He turned to her, now sitting quietly, apprehensive about his muted expression. I talked to Angela, he said softly, needing to bring her into the fold, to share the weight of his choices. What happened? Lisa asked, her eyes searching his for every facet of his truth. Staring into her earnest gaze, Mike felt something shift within him. It was imperative that he not only confront the specter of his past but also forge a clear path forward with Lisa beside him. I ended it, he replied, feeling a jagged blend of relief and uncertainty. But it's not over yet. As he spoke, he became acutely aware of the fragility of this new chapter of his life. The past loomed large, its shadows promising complications ahead. Yet the clarity of that decision, the choice to let go, felt like the first glimmers of light through a long-forgotten tunnel. Yet just as he resolved to forge ahead, his phone vibrated insistently once more, a message from an unknown number. Curiosity pierced his momentary triumph. He opened it, and his heart dropped as the text unfurled a shocking revelation. Mike, we need to talk about the house. He paused, his heart racing anew. This conversation was far from over. Mike stared at the screen, his mind reeling. The words felt like a jolt of electricity coursing through him, reigniting the whirlwind of feelings he had just begun to stabilize. We need to talk about the house. The phrase echoed unnervingly, gnawing at the remnants of his decision to move on. He took a deep breath, steadying himself with a firm grip on the table edge. His eyes flickered to Lisa, still waiting for clarity. A myriad of questions raced through his head. Who could it be? Was this yet another manipulation from Angela? The house, once a symbol of a fresh start, had suddenly morphed into a potential battleground. Just then, Lisa's voice broke through his turbulent thoughts. What was that? She asked, tilting her head slightly in concern. It was a message. From an unknown number. He hesitated, weighing whether or not to reveal the content. But in that moment, he chose honesty over hiding. They want to talk about the house. The slight furrow in Lisa's brow deepened. About the house? What do you think it's about? I don't know, he admitted, the vulnerability washing over him like a cold wave. But it can't be good. Her expression shifted from curiosity to concern. It was at that moment Mike recognized the unshakable bond that formed through shared uncertainty. Not only did they have a house to contend with, now they had a potential crisis looming. Still, he felt a flicker of determination ignite within him. It was not just about the physical space they planned to fill together, it was about choosing to cultivate a life that honored their shared aspirations untouched by old ghosts. Maybe we should just ignore it, Lisa suggested, but her voice held multiple layers of apprehension. Could be a mistake, he mused aloud, even as his analytical mind began plotting the ramifications of particularly dismissive choices. After what felt like an eternity, he decided to act. But what if it's not? What if it's tied to Angela in some way? I can't let her disrupt our life anew. Then we need to talk to whoever it is. Lisa's conviction sparked something in him, an urge to confront, rather than retreat into defensive silence. They had taken major steps forward together, each action now felt monumental. As if to match the gravity of the words exchanged between them, he pulled out his phone, quickly typing out a response. Who is this? What about the house? The seconds dragged by like hours as he awaited a reply. Somewhere deep inside, he wrestled with the contrasting desires of protecting Lisa and confronting his past. The pressure was palpable, yet this moment also felt liberating, as if he stood on the precipice of vindication against all the times he had chosen the safer path. Lisa reached over, intertwining her fingers with his. Whatever it is, we'll handle it together, she reassured him, her presence grounding him amidst the storm of emotions. That it wasn't just about the impending conflict, it was about what the conflict signified. This was a test of their shared resolve, a pivotal moment that would define their bond amidst the chaos of his past. He was no longer merely reacting, he was engaged, taking authority over his choices. The phone buzzed against the table, pulling him from his reverie. He glanced down at the new message, his heart hammering as he read it. I have information that could change everything. Meet me at the cafe on 5th, unknown. An uneasy tension curled in his stomach. Who was this person? And what could be so crucial that it could potentially unravel everything he was building with Lisa? Mike exchanged a glance with her, a mixture of fear and resolve swirling through them both. The time had come to unravel the secrets that threatened to tie him to his past. Will you come with me? He asked, his voice steady but tinged with urgency. Yes, Lisa breathed, the resolve in her response fortifying his determination. There was no turning back. Together, they would face whatever awaited them, and finally confront the ghosts that inhabited their lives. As they stood, the stakes had never been higher. Mike felt a new sense of clarity surge within him. No matter what was coming, he was bound to discover not just the answers about the house, but uncover pieces of himself he hadn't yet dared to confront. And as he turned to leave their apartment, a chill ran down his spine, a premonition that their encounter at the cafe would bring revelations, truths, and an ultimately decisive moment that could reshape their future together. The cafe on 5th was bustling with the usual midday crowd, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee intermingling with the sound of animated conversations. As Mike and Lisa stepped inside, the weight of anticipation wrapped around them, thickening the air they breathed. They scanned the room, but initially, they spotted no one out of the ordinary. Uncertainty gnawed at his insides. This was no casual meeting. The implications of the message loomed like a dark cloud overhead, filled with the potential for upheaval. Where do you think they are? Lisa asked, her eyes darting between tables. He inhaled deeply, trying to steady the rising pulse of dread. I don't know. But if they have information about the house, he trailed off, his mind racing. He struggled to shake off the idea that there was something more going on, something insidious lurking behind what should have been a fresh start. Finally, Mike spotted a figure seated near the back, partially obscured by potted plants and shadows. A woman short, with dark hair pulled tight into a bun, was glancing at her phone, tapping her foot impatiently. He felt a slight tremor of recognition but quickly dismissed it. Why would someone from his past be here? Let us approach her, he suggested, leading the way. Each step felt heavy, momentous, a deliberate choice toward confrontation. He knew deep down that avoidance was no longer an option, not if he wanted to fully embrace this new chapter with Lisa. As they reached the table, the woman looked up, her expression shifting from neutrality to something more apprehensive. Mike, she started, her voice slightly strained, I wasn't sure you'd come. That voice. It struck a familiar chord, turning his stomach. It was Melanie, a former acquaintance who had been involved in the turmoil surrounding his divorce from Angela. He was suddenly acutely aware of the casual noise of the cafe, the laughter and chatter, every distraction pulling him further from the gravity of the moment. Melanie, he replied cautiously, suppressing the rush of memories that accompanied her name. What do you want? We need to talk about Angela, she said, her tone grave. Lisa's grip on Mike's arm tightened. You know Angela? She asked, her eyes darting between him and Melanie. Melanie nodded, brushing a loose strand of hair behind her ear. She's been looking into you. The house, she believes it's a part of something bigger. She doesn't want you to succeed. This is about more than just property. A knot formed in Mike's throat. What do you mean? Angela's been checking your finances, your moves. It's been troubling for her, the idea of you moving on. She wants to make sure you don't get comfortable. Tension pulsed through Mike. Part of him wanted to dismiss Melanie's words as paranoia, another part found them achingly plausible. It was indeed Angela's hallmark to sabotage any step he took toward happiness. That destructive impulse had been honed throughout their marriage. What do you want me to do? He asked, forcing the question out. There was no turning back, the confrontation had arrived at last. I'm here to help, Melanie replied, her voice steady now, as if she could sense layers of history unraveling between them. But you'll have to face her about the house, about everything. Face her? Mike echoed, disbelief creeping into his voice. That's a dangerous game. I know, she admitted. But nothing good comes from hiding. You've made the choice to start over. You can't let her dictate your life anymore. Mike exchanged a glance with Lisa, who remained resolute, her eyes shining with support. The resolve surged within him. It was time to finally articulate his worth beyond the echoes of his past. Okay. Let us talk about what I need to do. I want to let her dictate my future. Melanie leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. We need to gather everything we can on her, every detail. Then we take control back. As the word settled, a disturbance in the cafe drew Mike's attention, his heart thumping as he saw a figure near the entrance, Angela, framed in the doorway, scanning the room. The moment of truth had begun. The question loomed, would he take the necessary steps to reclaim his narrative, or would he crumble beneath the weight of old fears? Mike stood at the edge of a pivotal moment in his life, caught in the flashpoint of his past and the hope of a new future. The air was thick with tension as he exchanged a fleeting glance with Lisa, the gravity of their shared history anchoring them together. This was no longer just about the house, it had evolved into a confrontation with his past, a chance to reclaim not only his future with Lisa but also his identity. Angela's appearance, like a specter from the shadows, spoke volumes of the unpredictable dynamics that had marked his life thus far. With resolve hardening in his chest, Mike turned to Melanie, whose voice broke the silence. You know what to do, she said, a steady partnership forming between her determination and his burgeoning courage. Let us do this, Mike responded, feeling a surge of strength as he stepped forward, Lisa by his side. It's time to confront Angela, and to finally put an end to her influence over my life. As they approached Angela, seated with a casual air that clashed starkly with the reality she had manipulated, Mike felt the warmth of Lisa's hand reassuringly squeeze his. The familiarity of that connection was grounding, a reminder of what truly mattered. Each step brought clarity, as the fog of indecision began to lift. Angela, Mike started, a firm steadiness in his tone, I need to talk to you about everything. Angela's eyes narrowed, her casual demeanor slipping as she regarded them, defiance flickering behind her facade. Is this a family reunion now? Her words dripped with condescension, but Mike was undeterred. I'm done playing games. Your tactics won't work anymore, Mike declared, a fierce determination rising within him. Gone were the days of evading confrontation. I want to let you disrupt my life. This house symbolizes a new beginning for me and Lisa, and I want to allow you to tarnish its foundation. Lisa stepped forward, her presence amplifying the weight of Mike's words. We recognize the hold you've had over him, but that chapter is closed. We are building a life together, and your attempts to interfere are unwelcome. As the tension crackled between them, something shifted within Mike. The fear that once paralyzed him dissolved, replaced by the clarity of his motivations. He was not seeking vengeance, he sought liberation, clarity, affirmation of his newfound commitment. I deserve happiness, and so does Lisa. This is our way forward. Angela's mask cracked momentarily, revealing the vulnerability beneath. You think it's that easy? She countered, but the edge in her tone was now tinged with uncertainty. You really believe you can erase me? I don't need to erase you. I need to redefine my life, Mike responded, his voice unwavering. From now on, my choices will be driven by my desires and goals, not the fear of your specter. In that moment, it became clear that Mike had not only confronted Angela, he had embraced a broader resolution. He stared into her eyes, finding a twisted comfort in confronting the chaos she embodied. He was no longer the architect of his own demise. His life was ready for a new construction, one built on emotional connectivity, authenticity, and mutual respect. The air shifted again as they stepped back, allowing Angela the space for her own reaction. You'll regret this, she snapped, but the fire behind her words was dimmed by apprehension. Mike felt a weight lift, a profound sense of accomplishment coursing through him. His resolve clarified what he wanted for himself and his family: strength through unity, support through vulnerability. As he turned to Lisa, he saw an unspoken affirmation reflected in her eyes. Together, they could fortify their home, ensuring that love remained at the center of their newly structured life. Are you ready for what's next? Lisa asked softly, a blend of determination and warmth in her gaze. Yes, he replied wholeheartedly, feeling a solid sense of confidence surge within him. This is our time. As they walked away from the cafe, hand in hand, he felt an exhilarating sense of achievement. Mike had conquered the deepest fears that had historically bound him. He had demonstrated growth not just by confronting Angela, but by committing to true partnership with Lisa. A peace washed over him as he caught sight of the future laid out before them, a home filled with laughter, love, and shared dreams, rising brightly on the horizon. He had earned this moment, a clear testament of transformation and conviction, proving that true architecture lay in the connections forged within the heart. Now was the time to create a space where apprehension had no place. With Lisa beside him, they envisioned the life that awaited, resolutely deciding to breathe life into their dreams. This was their rebirth. If you want to witness more stories of personal triumph, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like to feed the algorithm and keep our stories alive. Comment below with your reactions and theories about this ending, and don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Together, let us keep the flame of resilience and growth burning bright.